Nagi Seishiro, the celebrated prodigy of Blue Lock, a slacking genius seemingly destined for the top. We watched him get dragged out of a life of apathy by Mikage, and for a while the two of them felt unstoppable. His story was supposed to be a straight shot to stardom. But after the Neo-Egoist League, his fire went out, his rank plummeted, and he officially failed to make the U20 World Cup roster. This stunning failure, detailed over the last 20 chapters, has led to a compelling theory: that Nagi's only path back would involve a dark deal, pitting him against his former teammates and turning him into the exact villain Blue Lock was made to destroy. The downfall of a prodigy. To understand the villain theory, you have to understand the collapse that made it possible. The Neo-Egoist League was meant to be Nagi's global debut, but it became the stage for his downfall. After scoring a mind-blowing world-class goal against Bastard München, his obsession with beating Isagi was briefly satisfied. And then, the fire just went out. His performance cratered, his salary offers plummeted, and the prodigy started to look like a one-hit wonder. The root cause was clear. He had an ego that was entirely dependent on others. This all came to a head in the final critical match for Manshine City. With the game on the line, Nagi had a chance to score, but he hesitated. In a moment of panic, his ego shattered, and he passed the ball to Ryo instead of taking the shot himself. The pass was intercepted, Manshine City lost, and Nagi's fate was sealed. The final rankings were announced, and with only the top 23 players making the team, Nagi landed in 24th place. He was, for all intents and purposes, eliminated from Blue Lock. His failure wasn't just a bad game. It was the inevitable result of an ego that never learned to stand on its own feet. The Dark Path. This is where recent chapters took a dark turn. Cast out and desperate, Nagi was shown in a state of despair. At his lowest, a new, dangerous door opened. An offer from Hirotoshi Buratsuda, the president of the Japan Football Union. Buratsuda revealed a secret deal he made with Ego. In exchange for funding Blue Lock, Buratsuda would get to handpick 3 wildcard players for the U20 team, bypassing Ego's merit-based selections. He offered one of these spots to Nagi, but with several conditions. Nagi would have to win a special trial, sign his future career over to Buratsuda, and dedicate himself to proving Ego's philosophy wrong, effectively becoming a tool for the JFU. Accepting Buratsuda's offer would have instantly made Nagi a villain to his former teammates and a traitor to the program. Blue Lock was built on one ruthless idea: you earn your spot with your own strength and ego. Every single player on that U20 roster fought and evolved to get there. Nagi, by using a backdoor, would be disrespecting their entire struggle. He wouldn't be a Blue Lock player, he'd be a pawn for the corrupt establishment Ego sought to overthrow. This would be a complete betrayal of the program's philosophy, proving Ego right when he once called Nagi's dream too childish for a place like Blue Lock. But what do you guys think? Is taking a shortcut to the top a villainous move or just a smart one? Let me know what you would have done in Nagi's shoes in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Blue Lock analysis. The final breakup? Perhaps the most tragic part of this potential villain arc would have been the absolute ruin of his relationship with Mikage. Their shared dream of winning the World Cup together was the entire reason their journey started. Ryo poured everything into making Nagi the best. For Nagi to return under Buratsuda's control would have been the ultimate betrayal of that promise. He'd be achieving their dream by abandoning the very partnership that created it. Imagine the scene: Nagi on the world stage, facing Ryo not as a partner, but as an opponent aligned with the very forces trying to tear down everything they built. But here's the twist that redefines his entire journey. Nagi initially rejected Buratsuda's offer. He clung to the flickering ember of loyalty he felt for Blue Lock, the place that gave him his fire, and turned the deal down. But this act of defiance didn't bring him peace. It left him more lost than ever, a genius cast out into the wilderness with no purpose. It was then, at his absolute rock bottom, that the most unlikely figure delivered the final crushing blow. Igaguri, the monk, so often a punchline, saw through Nagi's haze of despair and hit him with a devastatingly simple truth. He was a generational talent actively choosing to let his genius rot. That one comment was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Nagi's resentment and despair. Suddenly, everything crystallized. The memory of his super goal, the roar of the crowd, the intoxicating feeling of being the center of the universe. It wasn't a memory, it was an addiction he now desperately needed to feed. He finally understood. Ryo couldn't give him that feeling. Isagi wouldn't wait for him. A true egoist doesn't wait for a pass. He devours anyone and anything in his path to take what he wants. He returns to Buratsuta, but this time, he's not a lost kid looking for a handout. He is a monster reborn from the ashes of his own failure, a predator who has finally chosen his path. He is there to embrace his own darkness, ready to crush Blue Lock himself to become the best. Theories on the future of Nagi. Is this the rise of a villain? Nagi Seishiro, once seen as the lazy genius with boundless potential, now stands at a crossroads. His decision to walk a darker, more ego-driven path doesn't just signal a character shift, it shakes the very foundations of Blue Lock. If his heart is no longer in the pursuit of glory as a team player, then what is he chasing? And what might that evolution look like? Let's dive into 3 major theories that are taking the fandom by storm. Each one paints a different vision of Nagi's possible descent, or transformation, into something far more unpredictable. In this scenario, Nagi doesn't return to Blue Lock as a humbled player. He returns as its greatest threat. Imagine a rival team formed entirely of wildcard players, a secret project orchestrated by the JFU to dismantle Ego's creation on the world stage. And leading this team? Nagi Seishiro. His bond with Ryo shattered. His rivalry with Isagi now deeply personal. The quiet genius becomes the embodiment of everything Blue Lock fears. A monster they created, now fully unleashed. Not just an opponent, but the final boss. Each goal he scores is a rejection of the ideals that once shaped him. Every time he outplays Isagi or humiliates Blue Lock's elite, it's a brutal reminder that greatness without ego control becomes a destructive force. What if Nagi is playing the long game? On the surface, he accepts Buratsuta's offer, becomes a tool of the JFU, and falls into the role of their obedient pawn. But beneath the surface, he's sharpening his ego, preparing for something much more subversive. This is the double agent theory. Nagi uses the system that tried to control him as a ladder to climb higher. He studies the structure, learns its weaknesses, and waits for the perfect moment to betray them all. In a climactic match, perhaps against Blue Lock or even the national team, he switches sides or disrupts everything, proving once and for all that a true egoist plays by no one's rules but his own. In this version of Nagi, we see not just rebellion, but strategic rebellion. A player too smart to follow orders and too ego-driven to accept being someone else's tool. This version is calm, cold, calculated, and terrifyingly effective. Forget schemes and allegiances. This theory envisions Nagi as the ultimate agent of chaos. He accepts the wildcard position, but not out of loyalty or strategy. He joins because it gives him a new stage, a new thrill, a bigger game. Here, Nagi isn't loyal to Blue Lock, the JFU, or even his former self. He plays only for the raw, selfish pleasure of creation and destruction. Every match becomes a performance, every touch of the ball a brushstroke on his personal canvas. He may pass, or he may shoot from midfield just to see if he can. He may win the game alone, or doom his entire team in a moment of arrogant brilliance. This is Nagi as a pure expression of ego, free from philosophy, loyalty, or restraint. The type of player who terrifies even the strongest tacticians, because he cannot be predicted, only survived. So, which path will he choose? What makes Nagi's future so compelling is that none of these paths are far-fetched. His crushing defeat in Blue Lock wasn't just a plot twist, it was a rebirth. The genius who once leaned on Ryo is gone. What rises in his place might not be a villain in the traditional sense, but something much more complex, a force with his own rules, motivations, and vision. Whether he becomes the final boss, the silent betrayer, or the uncontrollable genius, one thing is certain: Nagi's story isn't over. It's just beginning. This is no longer the tale of a prodigy learning to shine. It's the origin of a demon carving his own legacy. One goal, one betrayal, one ego-fueled play at a time.